Wow! Little people in my computer, today we're going to look at a video and I'm going to do a reaction to it. So I guess I'll let it play and then I'll comment on it.
Today we're talking about slow moving hammers, and I'm going to show you just right here how you find them. Now you can just push up on all the hammers with your finger, with your arm, and see those slow moving hammers. If they don't fall straight back with the rest, they're going to cause a problem with repetition. That hammer doesn't even want to go back at all, but it's just moving very slowly. So I go through the entire piano just pushing with my hand, push up, find any moving hammers that are going slow, and you can feel that they're not repeating. Sometimes they won't play the second time, they won't play the third time because the hammer is just not coming back fast enough. It's a pretty easy fix. What you're going to do is grab some WD-40. You're going to stick it straight down into the action right here. You sometimes get a flashlight. You're going to spray right on the hammer flange pins, right where the hammer basically hinges. That's the flange pin. And then you're going to just move the hammers back and forth just like this, just over and over. You can actually also play the piano, but this is better just to kind of move them 15, 20 times. And watch right now. All those hammers are moving fine.
Okay, that's about all we need to see right there. I'm going to refrain from trying to make fun of anybody. I'm just trying to take a objective approach to what I'm seeing as an expert piano technician. So, this is the correct area that he needs to spray in, but unfortunately, WD-40 is not the substance. What needs to be used is center pin lubricant, and you can spray that in a bottle, or more accurately drip it in a bottle and just inject it into the place that it needs to go. But today what I'm going to show you is how to completely rebush the action center. This is something that not only affects the hammers but many other parts inside the piano. Make my little cursor big. These guys right here, these are your tuning pins. That's what I turn and manipulate every time I tune a piano. These are the strings down here, going this way. There's over 300 strings. Some of them are pairs. As you get down to the bass strings, they are individuals. You see right here, you got 3 strings, you got 2 strings, 2 strings, and as you get further down, you just got 1 string. One big old string. And so, if you spray your WD-40 in there, it's going to spray all over the place. All of these things are going to get little drops on it, and you don't need that. You need to use a precision dropper, which you'll see in the next little sequence here. But you can see a close-up of these tuning coils of wire around the tuning pins and the strings. You don't want to get WD-40 on these things. It's going to, if it gets down in these holes, it's going to ruin the ability for the tuning pin to hold on to friction, which is essential. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure the amount of friction in grams and then poke out the pin, measure the pin, use a micrometer for this. A good example is from verdigris, which is why this was tight. This is just a junk piece that I have. Here I measure it. The measurement is 0.52 of an inch. And so that I want to remove. I'm going to not use the old felt. I'm going to replace the felt. I'm just doing the most extreme case here. This most likely would not be necessary. I'll talk a little bit about that more. But I use a little drill bit and remove the old felt from the bushing mortise. I got my new felt. This felt had glue applied to the tip so it's nice and sturdy, so I can push it through here. you'll see, I'm having a little trouble. That's just super glue applied to the tip of that to harden it. I do also have hammer hardener I could use if I need to. I'm getting it going a little bit, but getting it through that second one. And of course, when I do grab the pliers, I need to be careful not to break those little arms of the flange. Otherwise, I'll be looking for another one. So now that I got it through, I can grab onto it and pull it all the way through. I'm going to orient the middle of that felt where they come together. I'm going to put that on one of the corners and pull it almost all the way through so I can get some glue. There's my hide glue. Keep it in the fridge, keep it fresh. I'll show a whole video about that stuff. It's one of my favorite substances. I'm going to apply the glue on this part of the felt and also on the other part there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to apply that glue all the way around. I can clean it up, when I get toward the end there. Apply that all the way around. I'm going to pull the felt through the mortise, and that's going to bring it through. The glue is going to wick into the felt, and so it's going to apply to the inner part of the mortise. You can see there, it's pulled through. Just going to clean up the glue a little bit, get rid of some of the excess. Make sure it's applied all the way around. That glue, since it's still hot, as it cools it will wick into the felt. So now we prepared the new pin, or the new bushing for the new pin. I put a pin in that, let it dry for about an hour, and then I come back. I'm going to cut off the excess felt. It should be pretty much hard. That stuff dries within about 10 minutes, so giving it an hour was giving it a lot of extra time just to really harden up. It's supposed to be very, very, very solid when it's done, so it should be able to get cut at this point. I'll make sure I get it all the way to the wood so that I don't have anything, especially on the inside. That's where the friction is going to be. So right now, I just put in the smallest, and then I set it aside and let it dry for another half an hour just to be extra sure I'm sizing it. I'm going to use my two-way tool, pin tool, push that in, let that dry just a little bit more, and we'll come back. Alright, and we got to fit the pin to the bird's eye, this piece right here. I'm going to make sure that the new pin, because I took out a certain size pin, I got to make sure the new pin fits in there. So I'm going to take out my tools, my gram measurement tool, my center pin tool, my lighter, my knife, my pin nippers, and you see there my pin selection case. And these are my reaming tools. I'm going to pick out the right size for the pin that I'm putting in. Alright, double check that I got all the excess felt and glue off. I could probably use a new blade on this X-Acto knife. slicing real good. I should have put a new blade on that, but this is not actually a piano part. This is only a facsimile of a piano part. If there's anything left on this, it will definitely create some friction. So I want to make sure to remove all that. I'm going to take my reaming tool. Now the reaming tools are smooth on the end and near the hilt, near the handle, there's a roughed up part. Of course my lighter was dead, so I had to grab a new one. So I rough it up near the end on the inside, and then I heat that part up to iron the new felt, get it nice and smooth to accept the new pin. I'm going to pick the size for the new pin that I'm putting in. I'm reaming it. That's the abrasive part right there. And the abrasive, cutting out some felt. And then I'm gonna, since I created a new edge on it, I'm going to heat it up and crease it. Really make it look nice. And that's also how I control the friction, which you'll see in a minute. So when you're putting that in the flange, make sure you face it the correct way. That way you can't mount it, so this way you can. Make sure you put it in the proper way. At least once, every few times I do this, I put one on backwards. Sometimes I'm doing 88 of them. So I'm putting the pin back in. I'm going to swing it around a little bit, test it out. Got my gram measurement tool, and it's pretty tight. It's not even moving it. It's like, ooh. So we're going to loosen it up a little bit. I'm going to try heating it up just to kind of loosen the felt a little bit. Get to the other side just a little bit. You don't want to burn it. Shake it around a little bit. Just loosens it up. And we measure it again. And it's loosened slightly. At least it's moving now, but I need to take this out and ream it. So I'm going to remove the pin with my pin tool. And as long as I don't cut that pin, I can take it out and do this as much as I need to. If I cut the pin, then I can't do that because it doesn't have the tapered end. So I'm going to re-ream it, use the abrasive part of that reamer, and then relight it and iron the end. This is how you control friction in a piano. It seems like a long, intense process, but it's really worth it at the end. And there's nothing that you can really do short of this that will last as long as this will. Alright, swing it around a little bit, simulate the use that it would get, and measure the friction. And it's definitely a lot lower, but if I hit that with a lighter one more time, it's going to come right where I need it. Probably can't see the markings on there, but I need about 2 to 4 grams. I'm just going to heat that pin up and loosen up the felt, simulate some more use. So I need 2 to 4 grams of friction on that flange. And that's just about right there. That's about 4. Yeah, it's about 4. Shake it a little bit more. And some people like to use the swing test. It's not very scientific, so it doesn't really do much for me. You're supposed to get 7 swings. I do. And I clip the pin. Now, sometimes when you clip the end of that pin, it'll loosen up a little bit more, so you can plan for that. If you accidentally made it too tight, you can kind of wet the sides of that and then increase the friction. But that's basically it. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how to loosen a tight center pin, which is one of the many reasons why a hammer will not be repeating as fast as it should. Check out some of my other videos and be sure to like and subscribe. Leave your comments below.